Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Red Devils talk. We play Arsenal next in the Premier League. It is going to be a very, very difficult game, especially with us playing away from home at the Emirates Stadium. But even though today is about that particular preview, I just want to extend my condolences from my side to the Stretford Paddock family. Yes, I do, of course, watch other Man United fan channels, and they are one of the ones that I watch religiously. And I want to say my condolences to them and all those that know Abdallah, on a much more closer level than I have. I've just seen him on the channel, watched him and listened to him. But I do want to give my condolences to the Stretford Paddock family because of him passing away. And it does feel like us who obviously watch Stretford Paddock, it does feel like we also lost someone close to us. So a bit of a dumb start, but this is life, this is the reality, and we have to one accept it, but also two, we have to try to understand it. But as I said, my condolences to the Stretford Paddock family, Jay Motti, Ronaldo Brown, Joe, Stephen Housen, etc. All of those that are part of that particular channel and those who are close to Abdallah. I do send my thoughts and prayers to his friends and his family. So we do play Arsenal, and this is probably, by all means, Ruben Amorim's toughest test as Man United head coach, and it certainly will be a good indicator for us to see where we are going in terms of a team and are we progressing by what we are seeing on the pitch. This particular game does come, in my opinion, a bit early in Ruben Amorim's tenure, but this is Man United. These are the games that you want to be part of. These are the games that you want to, take part in. And it is a challenge. It is something that Ruben Amorim definitely will be excited for. And I myself asked in the thumbnail, are we ready for Arsenal? Because we have to look at them as a team that has done well over the past 2, 3 years with Arteta. And even though they haven't won a trophy with Arteta, and I'm not talking about the FA Cup that he won in his first season, I'm talking about, when he fully started having his own players and developing his style of football, at Arsenal, as we have seen, they've turned out to be a very, very formidable team, not just in England, but also in Europe. And have developed a very, very good basis on how they play their football. We know that they can press you from the front. We know that they are very, very good at holding on to the ball, keeping possession, and suffocating teams, when they are trying to create their own chances. We know that in transition, when they go from defense to attack, they are just as deadly because of the likes of Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz, etc., Leo Trossard, basically. These are players that are deadly when given time, space, and opportunities. Odegaard, their captain, has just recently returned from injury and he's basically gone into the team and again showed why he is one of the most important players in their team. He keeps them ticking. I know Bukayo Saka is the main player, the most creative, most influential, and of course, the most attacking minded player. And of course, he is the captain, when Odegaard is not there. But nevertheless, we need to be ready for that. We need to be certainly mindful of how Arsenal will approach this game because they are, of course, in the title race. They are playing at home and they will want to win us. Let's not beat around the bush. There is a bit of a gripe towards Ruben Amorim because with his time at Sporting, he did win Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium, and that certainly did stick with him and certainly will sting because Ruben Amorim is again coming to the Emirates Stadium to cause an upset because we are the underdogs. Let's be real about this. We are very, very far off where Arsenal is right now as a team, and we certainly have to build those building blocks in order to get to that particular position where Arsenal is, let alone trying to get to Liverpool and City's level, who have already won the title since we haven't won it over the past few years. Arsenal, for me, certainly will want to impose themselves, and most of the time we've been better playing on a counter-attacking basis against teams that are better with us in possession of the ball. But Ruben Amorim wants us to be brave. He wants us to take the ball, take it in tight spaces, beat our man. Basically, he wants us to be dictated when we have the football at our feet. We certainly need to ensure that we limit spaces for Arsenal to play in, especially in between the lines. We definitely need to ensure that we don't leave too much space in behind for the likes of Martinelli and Saka to run onto, because even though we have the defenders that can deal with balls in behind, it's not a very good place to be because it's kind of how Arsenal wants to play. If they struggle when playing the ball out from the back, they have no problem launching it up to Kai Havertz and playing from the second ball. They have no problem playing a ball in behind into the channels for the likes of Havertz them to run onto in order for them to build the attack from the front. So they've got very, very, very good assets, as a team and use it quite well. The set piece kings they've been called over the last 2 seasons, shall I say, with how good they are defending set pieces, but more so in attacking set pieces. They are very, very good at converting those set pieces into goals. So we certainly will have our work cut out. Ruben Amorim certainly will have to look at this game not just as a game where getting a result will be important, but it's going to be difficult for him because of who does he actually play in this particular game. Because one, Lisandro Martinez and Mainu are both not available for this game because of picking up too many yellow cards and have to serve a 1 game suspension. So that in itself, I would not necessarily say leaves you weaker, but it does leave you with less options, if I have to put it that way. And for me, in this particular game, Ruben Amorim should be going with this particular starting 11. Onana in goal, of course. There's obviously no debate about that. In the back three, I would want to see um, Mazraoui at right centre back, of course. I want to see Luke Shaw at left centre back. And in the centre back role, I would play Harry Maguire over Matthias de Ligt. Matthias de Ligt and Harry Maguire, in terms of pace, are, shall I say, quite similar. They're not too fast, but they have a bit of speed about them in terms of, getting around the pitch. But in terms of physicality, they both dominate when they have to wrestle with the opposition strikers. They are very, very good when they have to defend in the box in terms of heading the ball out aerially, winning those balls in the air when we have to defend corners or set pieces, and of course, when they have to go and press with their man in terms of winning the ball when the ball is played into them, which we will see with the likes of Kai Havertz, who would want to drop deep and try and play, the ball towards himself and, then have Arsenal play from his point onwards. De Ligt is good at winning the ball in those moments, but Maguire is just as good because of his size, because of his strength. So I would start him at centre back, mainly because of his aerial abilities and how he can defend quite well in those set pieces, which Arsenal will want to definitely exploit when they get corners or set pieces to put balls into the box aerially. And Maguire can certainly nullify that particular threat with just his own heading ability. In midfield, I would want to play Casemiro and Ugarte simply because of the physicality that is needed against a Thomas Partey and a Declan Rice, and of course Martin Odegaard as well. So having an Ugarte and a Casemiro allows us to also have more defensive solidity to screen a Maguire who perhaps is not as good running back to his own goal. But with Shaw and Mazraoui, they can compensate for his lack of pace. Likewise, Ugarte can do the same. And of course, Casemiro is just as good defensively as he is going forward when given the opportunity to do so. At left wing back, I do think Diogo Dalot will continue to play there. Not because we don't have anyone else, but I think because he's doing a good job there at left wing back. At right wing back, of course, Ahmad will be starting, probably the first name on the team sheet other than Onana and Mazraoui, in my opinion. So Ahmad will probably continue at right wing back. And the three that I put there is basically Hojlund up front, which I will speak about now. Bruno, of course, and I brought in Mason Mount ahead of Rashford, Xerxes, and Garnacho for 2 reasons. So Mason Mount simply is very, very good at pressing without the ball and certainly can cause Arsenal some problems because of his ability to win the ball in good areas, especially high up the pitch. He's also good at finding an eye, the eye for a pass, for the likes of a Hojlund or a Ahmad, or even a Bruno, when he does find space to do so. We know what Bruno can do on the ball and, of course, off the ball as well. Hojlund, of course, did score 2 goals in the Europa League match, but he was only brought on in the second half after we already were ahead by 3-0, I think. I'm not too quite really remember, but he did come on in that second half, and Xerxes certainly already by then secured us the game. But for this particular game, it wouldn't be wise to play Xerxes based on how he likes to drop deep and play as a false nine, because if we have a striker doing that, we certainly will find issues with the way Arsenal will box us in, knowing that we don't have any threat to run in behind. Now, of course, if you put Rashford into the team, behind Hojlund, you certainly will have an issue of him and Hojlund wanting to run in behind, and it would leave us kind of exposed in midfield by having one less player that is able to close down the spaces of a Havertz that might drop into midfield next to Odegaard or even behind Odegaard to allow Odegaard to go higher up the pitch and play as a false nine. So for me, it needs to be Mount because of what he can do in between the lines, and he's running in behind as well as a midfielder running beyond the striker. We've seen it, he can do it, and certainly can excel in that position. So for me, that is the team that Ruben Amorim should be going with, because one, we have a very good defensive basis when we do not have the ball, when we can of course have Mazraoui, right back, you can have Maguire and Martinez, as centre backs, and of course Luke Shaw at left back. If you go to a 4 at the back when we do not have the ball, when we are in a 3 and we don't have the ball, you have the low at left wing back, you have Shaw, Maguire, Mazraoui, and of course Ahmad at right wing back, who we know can do a job defensively when required to do so. So this for us is not a game where we should be looking at the result because we are the underdogs. Of course, we would want to win. Let's be real. But we have to be realistic. We are going to be up against a team that is miles ahead of us in terms of their development and where they are as a team. And we certainly will have to match them, not just in terms of energy, strength, physicality, and also power, but we certainly will need to match them at a certain level in order to compete, firstly, and then look to try and win the game. If we find ourselves in a position to win the game, we simply will then need to move properly from that position and try and consolidate a result and get a result, which again is not important. It's the performances. It's how the players improve and develop with these tactics that Ruben Amorim is bringing into Manchester United, and how they basically execute those tactics in order for us to start being consistent in terms of having good performances that will result into good wins and finally find us climbing the table and competing at the highest level. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like. Thank you for those who have subscribed thus far. I appreciate the love and support. Continue to do so. We can only grow as a family more and more with your help and your support. I do this especially for you guys, and I definitely do and am thankful for your support. Have a wonderful day further, Red Devils. Till we see each other again soon. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. If you want more content on Manchester United, like, share and subscribe.